I'm just testing the pop filter here to see if it actually works. Let's go with the video. What's up, guys? Kizzy here, back with another video. This time we've got Laguna Seca in Group 4 cars for week 37 of the GT7 daily races. That felt like a lot of sevens for a moment. Laguna Seca is actually a very technical track, but with Group 4 cars, it might be a little bit more manageable to try to put a lap on. So, let's waste no time. Let's go to the track and see how to drive this lap. Let's go. Okay, so let's start breaking down the lap for Laguna Seca with the Renault Megane Trophy. In Group 4 cars, Laguna Seca is actually a pretty fun track to drive, I would say. At least in my personal opinion, it was quite a fun track to try in time trial. And when I was trying to put my lap on, it just felt pretty smooth. And I believe even though Laguna Seca is a very technical track, with this car you might be able to have a better feel of how to take different corners and how to try to optimize your lap time if you follow the right braking references and understand the racing lines that you need to take. So let's go ahead and start from the finish line all the way down from the start of the lap, and you're gonna rev this car all the way through. And your first braking point is going to be right when you see the 3 board on your right hand side, or when you see that white line that sticks out of the track limit. As soon as you hit that line, that's going to be your first brake point, and you're going to brake in a full capacity, 100%, and you're going to try to aim towards the apex on the left hand side. You're going to draw that line to try to hit that apex in a straight line, like so. And once you hit that apex, you want to lift the brakes. You want to hold a little bit of brake until you pass the apex, and then you want to lift the brake fully, and you just coast the car and rotate it in a very narrow line towards the second apex. And then in this case, used third to come out of the corner, but in actual fact, I think second gear might be better to do this exit, and you want to try to hit the second apex in a late apex capacity so that you can optimize the racing line and you can use all the track width all the way to the exit out into turn 3 in this case. In this case, I didn't hit the apex, but it's still quite good enough. And then your second braking marker is going to be that drain that you see right in front of the car at this moment. When you pass the 2 board on your left hand side, you see that drain. You want to dap the brake a little bit and hold it so you can aim the car over to the apex on the right hand side. And then you want to lift the brake again so that you let the car take its own rotation, do the job itself, like so. And once you hit the apex, be careful not to hit the sausage, because the moment that you hit the sausage, it completely throws out the car and the racing line fully. So you want to keep it as close to the curb as you can, but without hitting the sausage. And then you want to exit in third out of this corner. Keep the line very tight, use all the track width. That's your first sector. And then your next braking point is going to be right before the 1 board, and basically right before the rumble strip ends, right in front of you in this point. And the thing that you want to do is literally just tap the brake ever so slightly so that you slow the car a couple miles an hour, and then you aim it towards the apex on the right hand side. Keep it in 4th gear, and the moment that you see that the point of the car is pointing towards that apex, careful again not to hit the sausage in this case. The moment that you have your car aligned with that apex, you can power out in 4th and just use the steering wheel to maintain the car on the track. So then you're going to head all the way down until the mother's bridge right in front. You're going to cross that, and right before you reach the 2 board in front of you on the right hand side, you're going to want to brake again. I think in this case I used about 75 to 80% braking. You want to shift down to 3rd gear, rotate the car all the way to the apex, and then power out in 3rd. You want to power out a little bit earlier before you hit the apex, and then you just rotate the car with your steering wheel to keep it on the track. Again, same thing, avoid the sausages at all costs. In this case, I think I actually clipped the sausage ever so slightly, but I kept it going because I didn't feel like I was losing that much of a racing line in this case. And then you're gonna head all the way down until the VP Racing Bridge, and then your next braking marker is gonna be the 2 board right in front of you. You want to pass the 2 board And then again, same thing as we did in the corner before. You want to just tap the brake ever so slightly to reduce the speed just a little bit. Aim the car towards the apex on the left, and then power out in fourth gear again. And then just rotate it so that you maintain it on the track. Use all the width possible, basically left tires on the right track limits. And then your next braking point is going to be the white line that is right before the 3 board ahead of you on your right, or basically right before the rumble strip on the right hand side starts. This is for the corkscrew. Corkscrew is one of the most technical corners of Laguna Seca for sure. And the key to take the corkscrew is to understand how to position the car optimally so that you can hit the downhill section of the corkscrew, and also how to steer the wheel properly so that you maintain the weight balance effectively. And once you power out the corkscrew, you don't spin the car all over to the left hand side, or spin it and snap it oversteer to the right hand side at the end of the downhill section. So you're gonna see I'm gonna brake fully in the corkscrew. I'm gonna try to maintain around 55 miles an hour, hit the apex on the left hand side, and then you want to point the car in between the gap that you see those trees far ahead. You want to point the tip of the car over there, and then I want you to pay attention to the steering wheel input, how slowly I'm gonna turn the tip or the red dot from left to right. It's gonna be still in full speed, but you're gonna be able to notice how I basically neutralize the left steering, turn it straight, and then turn it back again to the right hand side right before I hit the power. And that way I play with the weight balance of the car, take the car downhill throughout the apex that is downhill in the corkscrew, and power out in third gear, and then keep the car in the middle of the track. And then just open it up all the way, but not all the way towards the curb. Just try to keep it somewhat in the middle of the track, but a little bit more towards the right hand side. Going forth in here, lift or dab the brake depending on how more comfortable you feel. And then you want to rotate the car all the way down until you hit the apex on the left hand side that is right in front of you. Same thing again with the sausage. Avoid it at all costs. That's basically the mission for Laguna Seca. Power out and forth from here, and then you're gonna brake right when you hit that 2 board once again. Now in this particular case, I dabbed the brake and trail braked all the way towards the right apex, or the apex on the right hand side coming ahead, and I kept the car in 4th gear. But you can actually also drop it down to 3rd gear, and if you do, it will help a little bit with rotation, and you can actually power out of the corner earlier, although it's gonna have less traction and less power. So there I go in 4th gear, keep it on the track, a little bit of dust lifted, but doesn't matter. And then your last braking marker is going to be the 3 board right in front of you right here. You can pass it, or you can just brake at the start of it. Once you hit the 3 board, you're going to brake fully, and this is going to be a corner that you need a lot of patience to take, because it's a very steep corner. It's almost a hairpin pretty much. If you notice it on the map. So you're gonna brake fully, bring it down to 2nd gear, hit the apex at around 44-45 miles an hour, and then squeeze the throttle very gently all the way up towards the track limit, and then you just power all ahead and you finish the lap. This is gonna put you around a 126.6. So now let's watch the full lap replay at the time of setting this lap. As you guys know, bumper cam is the cam that I use to drive in Gran Turismo. I am following Damien Chafe, who held the world record at the time, and the ghost is offset at 0.2 of a second. Brake at the 3 board all the way through the first apex, rotate the car, exit out of the 3rd. As you can see, I didn't get enough rotation, but we keep going in here. Aim for the drain, trail brake over into the right apex, rotate the car enough, and then power out in 3rd gear. Then the little subtle dab of the brakes in this 1 board to point the car towards the apex and power out in 4th. Look for the 2 board brake right before that. Point the car towards the apex. Here's where I clipped the sausage a little bit, but we keep going because it didn't really lose me that much time, or at least not too much of the flow of the lap. the little dab after the 2 board right here, and use all the track available when you power out in 4th gear for this one. And then we go into the corkscrew, aim for that line behind the 3 board, brake all the way, downshift to 2nd, and here's where I want you to pay attention to the rotation of the wheel, how very slowly I turn the wheel from left over to the center, and then point it right to go the downhill section of the corkscrew, power out in 3rd, lift off, point to that left apex, open up the wheel, then aim for that 2 board, hold the brakes for a little while, pass the car through the apex, then look for the 3 board, full brakes in 2nd gear, and squeeze the throttle very gently. Almost I wanted to kick out the rears at this point, but we managed to control it, and that's the lap for you. So there we have it, guys. If you enjoyed this lap guide, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and let me know in the comments what your lap time is. And let me know if you actually got any improvements out of this. If you also want to watch my latest racing at Deep Forest from last week's daily races, make sure to click this video right here.